Can you please introduce yourself? Send.
Hello, I am an AI assistant here to help you with any questions or tasks you may have. Feel free to ask me anything, and I will do my best to assist you.
Okay, I'm traveling to New Zealand tomorrow. Can you please tell me the important things that I should never miss in my luggage? Be short and concise in your answer because I don't like long answers at all. Send.
Passport, travel insurance, local currency, weather-appropriate clothing, camera, chargers, adapters, toiletries, any necessary medication.
Delete. I have no work tomorrow, so can you please give me some ideas what should I do on my weekend? I'm based in Christchurch, New Zealand. Be short and concise in your answer. Send.
1. Visit the Botanic Gardens and enjoy a leisurely stroll. 2. Explore the beautiful beaches of Sumner or New Brighton. 3. Take a scenic drive to Akaro for a day trip. 4. Go for a hike in the Port Hills for stunning views of the city. 5. Check out the local market for unique crafts and produce. 6. Enjoy a wine tasting tour in the nearby Waipara Valley. 7. Visit the Canterbury Museum for a dose of local history and culture. 8. Have a picnic in Hagley Park and relax by the Avon River. 9. Try out some delicious cuisine. 10. Attend a live music or cultural event happening in the city.
Delete. Tell my audience to subscribe to this channel and leave a like on this video. Send.
If you enjoy the content on this channel, I highly recommend subscribing to stay updated with all the latest videos. Don't forget to also leave a like on this video if you found it helpful or entertaining. Your support means a lot and helps the channel grow. Thank you for watching.
So guys, in this video, we will be building this AI talking chatbot. To build this project, we will be using OpenAI API and we will be using the same models that OpenAI ChatGPT is using. So AI models that are important to build this project are going to be text to speech and the usual GPT-4 text generation AI model. So this is going to be the full stack project. On the front end, we will be using React JS, and on the back end, we are going to be using Node.js to build the simple application. So this is going to be a very interesting project. So stay tuned till the end of the video. Now, without wasting any time, we should go to Visual Studio Code and start building this project. So guys, here I am in my Visual Studio Code. I have a new folder open here. So in this folder, we are going to initialize a new Node.js project and we'll be working on the backend of the project first, and then we will go to React application and build a front end. So let's initialize a Node.js project in this folder by running a command that is npm init. So now this project is initialized with the package.json. So here I'm just going to create a new file that is going to be server.mjs, and we are going to be using a nodemon in this project to start this server. So I'm just going to install npm install nodemon. I'll just go to my package.json, and here in the script, I'm just going to add a new start script here, and this is going to say nodemon server.mjs. So now the basic setup is ready. I can go and start my server here in my terminal by running a command that is npm start. So we are going to be creating a Express server by using a package that is Express. So I'm just going to install Express in this project, and I'm just going to import Express from Express, and we are going to create a new app using a Express server, and this app is going to be listening on port 3000, and it's just going to say server is running. So if I save this and check my terminal, I should be able to see that my server is running fine here. So now we have a basic Node.js setup ready. So guys, in the next step, we have to build an endpoint that is going to be a post endpoint, and this endpoint is going to receive a text input from the front end, and it's just going to create a response by using a ChatGPT model based on whatever input text has been passed to the ChatGPT model. When we get a response from the ChatGPT model in the form of text, we are going to convert it into audio and return it to the front end. And on the front end, we will be able to use this audio file to play live on the website, as we have seen in the sample project. So before we start building the endpoint, we are going to need access to OpenAI API. So before we do that, we are going to go to browser and explore the OpenAI documentation. So guys, here in the browser, I'm just going to search for OpenAI API, and this will take me to the link OpenAI API overview. I can go to that link. So I already have an account on OpenAI, so I can directly access the OpenAI dashboard. If you don't have an account on OpenAI, then create an account and you should be able to access this dashboard after creating an account. So as of now, OpenAI API is a paid API, which means you have to set up a billing in this account. To set up a billing, you can go to the settings, and here in the billing section, you can add your card details and add some credit balance. So there is no monthly subscription to this. It's going to charge you based on the number of calls you'll be making to the ChatGPT AI model. So once you have created an account on OpenAI and set up the billing details, so here in the dashboard, you can go to the API keys and create your own API key here. I've already created the API keys for this project, so I'm just going to be using this API key in this project. So as now we know how to set up the account and generate the API keys, and we have access to our API keys, it's time to go to the API documentation and look at the models that we are going to use in this project. So guys, here in ChatGPT, there are different endpoints that are available, and we are going to be using two endpoints in this project. One is the chat endpoint and the other is audio, which we are going to use to convert text to audio. So if we look at the chat endpoint, so here they have provided the chunk of code that we can use for our Node.js project. And we can choose any ChatGPT model that we wish to use in this project. So in this project, I'll be using a 3.5 turbo model, and I'm just going to copy this main function which they have provided here and go back to my Node.js application and use this function here. So guys, in this function, we can see that they are using the OpenAI modules. So I'm just going to open a new terminal and install OpenAI by using a command that is npm install OpenAI. So as now OpenAI has been installed in this application, so I'm just going to import OpenAI from OpenAI, and using the OpenAI module, I'm just going to create a cost variable that is OpenAI using the module OpenAI, and here I'm just going to be passing my API key. To pass the API key here, we are going to create a new file in the Node.js project, and this is going to be .env file. And in the .env file, I'm just going to create a variable that is API key. And here I'll be passing my API key. As of now, I'm just leaving it blank, but you can pass your own API key here. So we'll be using a .env module in this project to read the environment variables into this project. So I'm just going to install .env by using a command npm install .env. So now .env has been installed in the project. I'm just going to import .env from .env. And here in the project, I can just mention .env.config. This will help us read environment variables from the .env file. So here in the API key, I can just mention it as process.env.api key. So as now I have updated my API key in .env file. So now we should be able to run this main function. So here at the bottom, I'm just going to call my main function and run it here to see how it responds. So if I run this main function, I can see that this ChatGPT model is responding me something like, how can I assist you today? And we can see that it's an object with some information. So the main thing that we are going to need from this object is the content. So here I can console log dot message dot content. And if I run this again, so we can see that we are passing a text to ChatGPT model that you are a helpful assistant, and ChatGPT is responding us with a message, how can I assist you today? So I'm just going to change the message that we are passing to ChatGPT. So here I can say, tell me something about New Zealand in 60 characters. So if I save this, so here in the console, I can see the response. New Zealand is known for its stunning scenery, outdoor activities, and friendly locals. So we can see that our model is working fine. So whatever text we are going to pass to the ChatGPT, it's going to respond to our messages here through the main function. So here we don't want to call the main function directly here. I'm just going to create a endpoint here that is going to be the get endpoint. Is going to receive a request and the response, and here in the get endpoint I'll be able to call my main function, and here in the main function I'll be passing whatever text I want to pass to the main function. And here I'm just going to make some changes in my main function. I can pass text as a parameter to this main function, and here in the content I can replace it with the whatever text I'm passing from my get endpoint. And from my get endpoint I'm also going to pass the response variable here. So here we can say response.json. So whatever response we are going to receive from ChatGPT, we are going to respond to this get endpoint. So as of now, we haven't defined the text here. So I'm just going to define my text here. So we can say let text is equal to tell me something about New Zealand in 160 characters. So if I save this, now this function is not running directly. But if I try to go to my browser and call this get endpoint, it should be responding us with the message, whatever ChatGPT is going to respond. So if I go to my browser and I go to localhost 3000. So we are getting an error that response is not defined in the main function. So here in the main function, I can pass my response as a parameter. If I save this again and go back to my browser and try to run this again. So now we can see that whatever ChatGPT is responding, we are able to return that response to the get endpoint here. So basically in this get endpoint, whatever text we are going to be passing to the main function, it's going to pass that text to our ChatGPT model, and we are responding the response from the ChatGPT model to our get endpoint. So guys, it's working fine as of now. Whatever response we are receiving from the ChatGPT, we are sending it to a get endpoint. But now I just want to add one more step here. So when we receive the response from the ChatGPT, before we return it to our get endpoint, we are going to convert this text response to audio response. So basically whatever ChatGPT is responding, we are going to convert it into audio, and we are going to return an audio file to the get endpoint. So as of now, if I go to the get endpoint, my get endpoint is receiving a text response, but now we'll convert this text response to audio and return an audio to our get endpoint. And to do that, we will be using another endpoint from our OpenAI API, that is a audio endpoint. So if I go to the audio endpoint here, I'll be able to find the chunk of code for Node.js. So here they have explained how we can convert any kind of input to speech using this audio endpoint from OpenAI API. So I'm just going to copy this chunk of code from here and go back to my main function. So here after I receive a response from ChatGPT, I'm just going to paste it here. So here they are passing some input, but we are going to pass the input that we are receiving back from ChatGPT in the form of text. I'm just going to make a change here. So here I'm passing whatever response I'm receiving from ChatGPT, and then this is going to convert the response to the audio buffer. And here in the response, this time I'm not going to respond with the text message. I'm just going to respond with the audio buffer here. So here I can say that whatever buffer in the form of MP3 I'm receiving from this audio endpoint, I'm just going to send it back to my get endpoint here. So basically in this get endpoint, I'm passing some text. Based on this text, we are receiving a response from the ChatGPT. And then using the audio API, we are converting that response to the audio MP3 file, and then we are responding it to our get endpoint. Probably we don't even need the speech file here. So I'm just going to remove this line because we are receiving it in the form of MP3, and then we are converting it to MP3 and returning it to our get endpoint. So if I save this and try to run this endpoint again, so now you see that it has downloaded some files. So I'll go to the downloads and try to open this file, and I'm going to open it in VLC Media Player.
Known for its stunning natural landscapes, vibrant Maori culture, and outdoor adventures like hiking, skiing, and bungee jumping.
So now we can see that we are getting the response, the same response, but not in the form of text. Instead, we are receiving the MP3 file of the response, and that is what we are going to need on the front end. So our backend endpoint is almost ready. So the last thing we want to do here is that we want to convert this endpoint to post endpoint, because we want to receive this text from the front end, whatever user will be sending from the front end. We are not going to hard code this text here. Instead, we are going to be receiving this text from the front end. So here I can define the text again, but this time it's going to be request.body.text. And we are going to be receiving this text from the front end because we are using a post endpoint in this Node.js application. So I'm just going to install two more packages that are going to be course and body parser. So these two packages are going to help us receive the text from the front end in the form of JSON file. So now these two packages are installed in the application. Here at the top, I can just import course from course, and I can also import body parser from body parser. And here after I have defined the app, I can just use them as a middleware. So I'm just going to say app.use course, and I can also say app.use body parser .json. So that's all we are going to need on the backend. Our backend is ready. We have a post endpoint which can receive a text from the front end and get a response from the ChatGPT and send it back to the front end in the form of audio. So our backend is totally ready. Now we can move on to the front end, go to the React application and call this endpoint on the front end. So guys, here I have a new React application running on my localhost 3001. So if we go to the browser, so that's my new React application. So to start building the front end, the first thing that we are going to do is to install all the required packages that we are going to need in this application. So in this application, I'm using a package that is Material UI. So I'm just going to install Material UI in this application. So here on the link, I should be able to find the commands to install Material UI. So I'm just going to copy this command from here, go back to my application, open new terminal and install Material UI. So I'm also going to be using Material UI icons in this project. So let's go to the browser back again, and if I scroll down, so here I can find the command to install Material UI icons. So I'm just going to copy that and install it in my application. So now Material UI has been installed in this application. There is one more package that we are going to need in this application because we are building a talking AI chatbot. So we need a package that is React speech recognition. So I can search here in the browser React speech recognition. I can go to the npm module. So that's the command we are going to use to install React speech recognition. I'm just going to copy it from here, go back to my application and install React speech recognition into my project. So this package is basically, it can record the sounds from the microphone and it can convert it into speech. So basically this package on the front end can convert audio into text, and we are going to implement this package in this application. I'm just going to show you step by step how to implement this package. Now let's go to the React application, and here I'm just going to remove all the default code first and put hello world to see if my application is running fine. So if I save this, and I can also look at my terminal. So if I go back to the browser and see my application, so I can see that my Hello World application is running fine and we are ready to start building AI talking chatbot. So guys, if I look at the documentation of React speech recognition package, so here if I scroll down a little bit, I can see that they have provided an entire component that we can use from here. So I'm just going to copy this React component and use it in my application. I'm going to customize it later based on my requirements, but for now let's copy this entire component, go back to our application. So here under the source, I can create a new component. I can name it as a recorder.js. So here in the recorder.js, I'm just going to copy this entire component. I'm just going to change the name of this component to recorder, and at the bottom I can change it back to recorder. So if I save this, now we have a recorder component in our application, which is from the speech recognition package. So in the app.js, I'm just going to import my recorder and I'm going to place it here in place of hello world. And here I'm just going to remove the class name and put some styling, like I'm just going to make display as flex, and here I can justify content to center, align the items to center, and I can mention the height of this div tag, which is going to be 100 VH. So if I save all this and go back to the browser to have a look at my application, so here I can see that they have a start button, they have a stop button and a reset. So guys, basically this start button is to start the recording from the microphone, and stop button is to stop the recording, and reset is going to clear all the recording it has recorded so far. So that's all the buttons we have in this application, and they are coming by default from the speech recognition component that we have copied from their documentation. But to make it work, we have to make some changes here. So I'm just going to go back to my application here in the recorder component. I'm just going to make some changes here. So here we can see that on the click of a start button, they are calling the function that is start listening. So basically we need to make some changes in the start listening function. So here I'm just going to define this start listening function at the top. So here I'm just going to make some change here. Here I can say start listening is equal to speech recognition dot start listening. And here I'm just going to pass a parameter that is continuous true. By passing this parameter, I'm just saying that once you start listening, so keep listening continuously. So now I have defined a start listening here on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove all these buttons. I don't need all these buttons anymore. I'm just going to redesign this layout. So I'm just going to comment all these buttons. And if I save all this and go back to my application, so if I refresh it, so you can see that it's already listening to me because I mentioned continues to true. So it's listening whatever I'm talking and it's able to convert it into text, and it's displaying it here on the application, because here if you look at the layout, we are displaying the transcript here. So that's all good. We are going to make some changes in this application. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add recorder symbol, recorder icon in this application, which I am going to pull from Material UI. We have already installed Material UI. So I'm just going to go open a new tab and search for Material UI icons. So if I go to the icons here and try to find an icon that is a recorder icon. So here I have a recorder icon which I can use. I'm just going to copy this recorder icon, go back to my application. So here, because we have removed all the buttons now, so in place of buttons, I'm just going to add a recorder icon here, and I can assign a font size to this. So the font size of this recorder icon can be 100 pixels. So if I save this, go back to my application. So now I have a recorder icon here, but we are going to try and move all this content in the center of the page. So let's mention a width of 300 pixels. So if I do that, it's going to compress the width. I think 500 pixels should be a good width. And we are going to make the display as flex direction is going to be column, and we are going to justify the content to center, and we can also align all the items in the center. So if I apply all this styling, now I can see that this icon is in the center of the page. It's still listening to whatever I'm speaking here and typing everything here. So that's all good. I'm just going to increase the size of the icon a little bit more. So I would like this icon to be 200 pixels. So now we can see that it's recording everything, whatever I'm speaking, and it's able to save all the recording in this transcript variable, which is here. So it's all good so far. It's able to listen to whatever we are speaking, and it's able to record it in the transcript, which is good. So guys, our recorder component is working fine. It's able to record whatever we speak in the microphone, and it's able to convert that into text. So now what I want is, I want this recorder to listen to my commands. For example, if I say delete, it should delete all the recordings. And if I give it a command that is send, in that case, it should send my request to the backend with all the transcript that it has recorded from the microphone. So I'm just going to make it to listen to my commands. To do that, I'm just going to create a variable here that is going to be commands. So in this commands, it's an array of commands, and each element in this array is an object where we define what is going to be the command. For example, if I say delete, it's going to call a function that is reset transcript. And if I say send, it's going to call a function that is handle download audio. So let's create this function here that is handle download audio. So for now, I'm just going to alert in this function that your transcript has been sent, which means that it has already sent the transcript to the backend. So to make it work, I've created this variable. So now I have to go to the use speech recognition hook, which is coming from the package, and pass the commands here in the speech recognition. So if I save this and go back to my application, now it's recording whatever I'm saying, delete. So now you see that it has deleted all the commands because I said delete. So I'm just going to say something now and send. So now you can see that it's calling the handle download audio function. That's why we see this alert. Your transcript has been sent. So it's able to listen to our commands now. And now if we go back to our application, so now we see that whenever we speak send, it's just going to call this function. So in this function, we are going to make a call to our backend and get the audio file from the backend, and we are going to add a audio tag here in the HTML and try to play that audio on the screen. So guys, let's make a change in this handle download audio function. We don't want to alert anything here, but we want to make a call to our backend and get the audio file from our backend. So to make a call to the backend, we are going to be using Axios. So I'm just going to install Axios by running a command npm install Axios. So now Axios has been installed in the application. So here at the top, I can import Axios from Axios. And here in the handle download function, I'm just going to call my backend endpoint, which is going to be axios.post. And we are going to be calling localhost 3000. So my server is still running on localhost 3000. And here we are going to be passing the object in the body, which is going to be text, and in the text we are going to be passing the transcript because all the recording is being saved in the transcript variable here. So we are going to be passing the transcript here, and the response that we are going to receive from the backend should be in the blob format. Now let's make this function as async function, and here we can say let audio is equal to await. So it's just going to await the response from the backend. So once we have a response from the backend, which is going to be the audio file, we are going to create a URL by using window.url.create object URL. And here we are going to be passing audio.data. So once I have the URL of the audio file, I'm just going to save it in my state variable. So for that, I have to create a state variable that is going to be data, set data. So here we are creating a state variable for this. And as soon as I've generated the URL, I'm just going to set my data to URL. So here at the bottom in the HTML, after my transcript, I'm just going to add an audio tag, and let's make this audio tag as a self-closing tag. And here we can pass the source, which is going to be data. And we can make this audio tag as autoplay, and controls should be visible on the audio tag. So basically, whenever I'm going to give it a command send, it's just going to call the handle download audio. So handle download audio is going to make a call to my backend and get an audio file from the backend. And here by using an audio tag, I'll be playing my audio file here on the screen. So let's save this. And now we are going to test it in our application. So if I go back to the browser and if I refresh my application, tell me something about New Zealand in 160 characters. Send.
New Zealand was inhabited by the Maori people in the 13th century. European exploration and colonization followed in the 18th century, leading to modern-day multicultural society.
So guys, that's all I wanted to cover in this video. If you found a value in this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video, and I'll see you in the next one.